everyone. I am Sorbh Gupta. I am part of Quantum Mutual Fund's equity team. I'm the fund manager for Quantum Long-Term Equity Value Fund and Quantum Tax Saving Fund. Today we will talk about the ELSS scheme, which is the Equity Linked Saving Scheme, which people generally use it for saving taxes plus capital gains. So just what are ELSS? So as the name stands, Equity Linked Saving Scheme. So essentially it's a saving scheme where you invest, but that money is put into a fund, which is an ELSS fund, and the fund manager puts that money into equities for long-term capital appreciation. So what happens is the government allows some tax relief on certain investments like PPF, ELSS, and insurance and other things under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act 1961. So within all those vehicles, you have ELSS also. So what happens is, for example, that limit is 1,50,000. At most, you can invest 1,50,000 rupees to get the maximum advantage on the tax side. So once you invest that 1,50,000, if you invest in other vehicles like PPF, you get a fixed rate of interest. In insurance, again, you get a mix of, if you're investing in a product which gives money back, it's a mix of fixed income plus equity returns that you get. And further, you can also use that allocation to invest into buying of real estate, where principal repayments are also part of the relief. So ELSS is also part of that. Good part of ELSS is, first, ELSS has a 3-year lock-in. Vis-a-vis, if you look at other products like PPF will have a 5-year lock-in. Insurance again is a long-term product. You don't get any surrender value unless you have spent quite a bit of time. Real estate buying is also a very long-term decision. So amongst all the vehicles that you have to save taxes under Section 80C, ELSS is a product which has the lowest kind of lock-in period. So what happens is, when you put in your money into ELSS, that money goes into a fund where whichever ELSS you have selected, and then that money then is deployed by the fund manager and his investment team based upon the investment philosophy towards equity products. Now, what happens is, most of the people do not think equities as a long-term vehicle. A lot of people have kind of think about the quick money making thought process on equities, which is not right. So since ELSS has a 3-year lock-in, this enforces a kind of discipline within investors that once you have put your money for 3 years, you cannot take it out. This makes you a little longer term investor, and it's always said that equities are for long term investment, because that's how it plays out. So equity essentially is a kind of voting machine in the near term, and in the long term it's a weighing machine, right? So in the near term, markets will be swayed by what people think or majority think it might be right or might be wrong. But over long periods of time, if you have picked up good product, and the product has picked up good companies and good stocks, you will make your good capital appreciation. So that's how the story of equity is. So a forced discipline plus a tax saving angle is ELSS all about, and it's a great product, and it saves you taxes. Number one, it gives you an equity exposure, it brings in discipline, right? And it has the shortest kind of lock-in period amongst all the products which are available under Section 80C for investments. So these are kind of benefits of ELSS products. Now, important question is, how do I select a good ELSS scheme, right? That becomes extremely important, because you cannot withdraw your money back after 3 years. So it becomes extremely important to select a good ELSS scheme. So a few things that you should look at is, one, what's the kind of investment philosophy and thought process of the investment team, plus the continuity of the team, because you are investing for 3 years, and once you've invested, you cannot take your money out. But if that fund manager or the investment team changes, the whole thought process of managing that fund changes. So it's very important to see whether there will be a continuity in the research process or investment process when you invest into ELSS. That is the first part. Second part is expense ratio. That is also extremely important. You should look at expense ratio, because every year you will be charged a certain expense ratio for managing of that product, which goes into as fees for the AMC. So that is an important aspect. Lower the cost, better returns for you. That is the second aspect. And third, very important aspect is that you should look at how the turnover ratios are for the fund. because as fund managers, as money managers, ELSS schemes are for long-term investors because they have a 3-year lock-in. But it is very important that fund managers' philosophy also matches that long-term. If you have a fund where the turnover ratios for a year is 100%, that means the fund manager is changing the stocks or churning the stocks, almost all the stocks every year. That means that he himself is not following that long-term philosophy. So the turnover ratios, lower the turnover ratios, the lower brokerages that the fund manager is paying. Plus, he's also thinking long term. He's picking stocks for 2, 3, 4, 5 years perspective, and it matches with the thought process that you have invested in ELSS scheme. And finally, my suggestion: most of the people think about these products in February, March, which is not right. My suggestion would be you should stagger these investments over a period of time for the full year. For example, if you plan to invest 1,50,000 rupees, you should not wait till February, March to invest. To get the benefit of the market volatility, it is better to spread it over a year through an SIP or a lump sum every month, so that you can spread it out. Your investments is spread out, and you get the benefit of market volatility, and your average cost is lower. Sometimes what happens is that you wait till February, March, and then you invest, and if markets are at kind of life high, you can get stuck up with very high NAVs that can impact your returns. So those are the aspects you should take care of while investing in ELSS. And happy investing to you. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.